Good morning, welcome. It is 10:30 a.m. It is Sunday, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a weekly Ruby on Rails live stream where each week we look at building an app together. And at the moment, we are working on an event registration application where people can type in all your details of an event that they want to run and have people register to take part and hopefully eventually buy tickets. We got pretty much no follow-up. Haven't done anything on this since last week whatsoever. And we can pretty much crack straight in, I think. Zero follow-up. If you're interested in anything else that we've done, we've worked on some other apps. On another app, take a look back in the YouTube channel history. All right, let's jump straight into it. Let's just get straight into it this morning. No messing around. And what do we got from last week? We have just a spec left over that we didn't need because there was no logic in there. So I think we can kind of discard that for now. Just going to throw that away without even bothering. I did look at it before the stream. I'm not just erasing that without checking at all. All right, cool. So let's take a look at our commit history from last week. Pick up where we left off. Lots of whip commits. Okay, great. So we have hopefully running a... I'm just going to bring up a terminal. We should have turn on a server. Bring that over here. And then open the server up. Great. Okay, and then we should have Sunday /Sunday club admin events. Oh no, and then it was a test 1, 2, 3. I think Firefox has saved me there. Yeah, great. So this is our, just zoom in a little bit. This is our component, which we also put pagination on using the Pagey gem, I think. Pagey, I don't know how to pronounce that. And this is all up and running and working. There was no tests, so I think we might want to start there. And then what we want to be able to do is, if we go over to our Notion doc. Good morning in the chat. Have you tried RubyMine? What are your thoughts on using an IDE for Rails and Ruby development? I have tried using RubyMine, but not for a long time. And I am aware that it is constantly growing and getting better and things like that. When I used it previously, I find it didn't make it didn't quite work with my practices, but I have a couple of colleagues who use it and love it. So if it seems to be that if it fits with your mental model or has tools that you find useful, then it really, really works for people. So I keep meaning to go back and check it out. So it's something I kind of drop into once in a while. Do you use it? Like, should I check it out next week? Probably not going to do it on the stream because I feel like I would spend the entire stream working where the button was. But I think the last time I used it would have been well over a year ago, but there were some pretty significant performance issues on a decent sized code base. And maybe, I'm not sure, maybe it was doing some indexing up front that costs it performance, but yeah, that's my experience. So this is our Notion board. This is kind of roughly what we're using for some very loose project management, just so that I can keep track of what we're doing. So admin can see list of events, right? That is happening. That exists. Now, why don't we just look at what happened last time? Let's font size up again. Okay, so we put in the view, these are the list of commits here. So we put in the view components. Going to check the stream as well because I was having issues last week. Great. So we put in the view component gem. We did something to do with Webpack. Yep, we bumped into that issue. Thank you to, I don't know if they'll ever see this, but thank you very much to the people for the view component on the view component issue that I commented on for responding. All super thoughtful and lovely as usual. That's a cool gem that I wish I had time to contribute more to. So we then put the Pagey gem in for pagination with a config file, added that in. So we did loads of work around that. Retrieve organization events in the controller. Yep. Okay, fair enough. You want to add a test for that? Potentially. And then here we have create initial components. Someone's got a typo, so this just creates them. And I think I'd kind of work on the same kind of logic that I've understood to be a thing for React components, which is like if it's just showing stuff, you don't need a test for it. If it's only the logic within Vue components that I would assume we would need to test. And then here we're just rendering that out, but we might want to pop in a feature test here. So shall we start by tidying up after ourselves, then do some tests, and then get the public stuff running? So I think that's a good order to do things in. Because we're being way more diligent this time around. Last time we built an app, we weren't aiming to get anyone sort of to use it, so it ended up being very, very messy. Let's get this nice and large, and then we can do, so we're going to do just a quick run through rebasing this, our work in progress commits. So Vue component, that needs to go up into there, and I think that has a thing in there related. I think there's a note in this commit message on this one around needing that require line. Allow Webpack to render a CSS and JS for Vue component. So let's add page to application helper. Extra creates. Just looking at the narrative of a little pull request. I use NeoVim for most of my development, but the Ruby language server, the autocomplete is not very good. I did try Ruby environment. It's fast with the autocompletes, but way too bloated in my opinion. Yeah, the autocomplete stuff. So there are things in VS Code that can do more of that work. I think the one I had to turn. There's one that uses like Solar Graph or something like that, and I ended up turning them off because they kept like pegging my CPU really high and like grinding the VS Code to a halt. But the ones that whatever I use that's in here now, like I don't know if it's the default one or if I have an extension installed, they're kind of like pretty basic. I think you get autocomplete over anything that's in any open tab. It doesn't try and index the entire code base. It sort of most of the time like gets me there, but then I've mentioned on this channel before that I do miss back in the day I used to use whatever the big Microsoft one, like the full Visual Studio back in the day, working with .NET code and having that full autocomplete with the docs in the they call it like intelligent something. I can't remember what they call it, but it is really cool, which I do miss a little bit. But then I've had like Dash and other apps like that put the docs in where you're writing the code, and that stuff is super helpful. But then I don't know how painful having a browser tab open is. Like I can usually find the docs if I need them. All of those things assume that my brain is working quick enough to need it right then and there, and that's usually not. My brain is very much the limiting factor in the speed of these things. All right, okay, so we're adding the gem, adding the stuff. So I think this is fine. So we're going to add Vue component and get that up and running. We know we're going to need to paginate some this could go with that stuff, I guess. Yeah, maybe all of the pagination stuff can go first then. So that all of that stuff says like, hey, the events are now available in the controller as you need them. How are you going to display them? And then we start adding the Vue component stuff in. So we can, the default config file can probably go in the commit above. Don't need 2 commits for that. They can probably go together. We're just adding in config there. There's only 2 separate commits for that. And that one we can reword. Well, actually, all of these we can reword because they're work in progress. That one will happen because I'll have a squash actually. So all that one. Didn't even get close. IntelliSense, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I do miss IntelliSense. I wonder, is it still good these days? Like, I haven't used that stuff for a long time. Mind you, that's VS Code must be sharing a lot of that code. I mean, it's all Visual Studio, right? Okay, so that's reword this. That'll get reworded because of the squash. don't know what this one's doing, so reword it. Reword this one. Reword this one. Okay, we're going to do some typing. It's going to be boring. Let's settle into it. Okay. Again, I do think it is useful to do. Oh, okay. Wait, how can we have a merge conflict when we are merging against the branch? Oh, because I swapped these around. Okay. Wait, what did I put? What did I put at the top? I put... What's this? Install page gem, yeah. So that one there. That, but then we can probably run... Oh. Pagey, great. Pagey gem. Git rebase. Continue. Oops. Dash continue. So this we are. Oh, I thought we were squashing this one. Or are they just doing that because it had a match conflict? Great. So two well written commit messages there. Okay. So install pagey gem. Be displaying upcoming commits. We're preparing to be able to paginate through them by using this gem. The config file is using all the default values. I'm just trying to say that I didn't need to do anything to it when I installed it. Don't know if that's useful for future. So add pagey to application controller. I probably do. Actually, you can probably do it this way around, just to make the character length shorter. Oh, did I leave the whip on the other one? I don't really need anything in that. It's doing. That makes sense. Retrieve organization events in the controller. I can't actually remember what we did for this. I think we just did organization events. In terms of ordering or about which events are shown, this is initial implementation. Get something showing. Cool. Okay, so this is nearly there. Oh, this is where we do the view components gem, I would guess. So, yep. Add view component gem. I think we want to accept those changes, but then run bundle install. Cool. View component there. View component there. All good. I don't think there's really much underscore component. I think that's like the third or fourth time I've had it. Ah, yeah. Okay, great. This was the one that we actually need. So that one. And then we can do accept current change. And it's this require that we need because of this comment here, which I think they actually pushed. I think someone replied saying they pushed the version that we don't need this anymore, but we can come back to that. So that's been saved. Let's try that now. Git rebase continue. Allow Webpack to render. Oh, okay, yep. I don't remember what that's doing. Create initial components for events in admin. As this is our first run at using since a basic prototype. Entirely sure of the naming or structure here. This is initial starting place. That's all I'm looking for. Just as looking back on that commit, I'd just be like, oh, well, yep, nothing in there needs to stay. They didn't know what they were doing. Render components for events in admin. I think that just renders list, I think. That's all that commit did. No formatting or anything usually useful here. Just playing them on the screen for the first time. Again, just trying to indicate that it's nothing is important in that commit. Great, so we end that commit with the events on the screen on the admin area and everyone being super happy. See if we can make a PR for that. And then while that is running its tests and doing all its cool stuff, we can then go off and so add new component gem. Yeah, not a lot to say in a PR particularly. Everything's in the commit messages. Right, so now that we've made the PR for that, the tests will run in the background. Let's move that browser off somewhere else so we can another screen so I can keep an eye on it. Which is not playing ball. Come on. Change the zoom back down. So watch for that little orange icon to go green. Hello in the chat. Can't see what that little, there's a little emoji in your name, which is super cool. I can't quite see what it is. Cool. Okay, so we are done with that for now. We think that PR can go in if all the tests pass, but there aren't any really tests in it, so there's not a lot to fail. Do we want to add any tests in here? The only thing we're really doing is the assign on the admin events controller. Oh no, we are actually. No, we forgot we're actually doing stuff. Right, but this has already been tested. There's tests for that. It's this assign here that's new in that PR, and I think we're probably fine because I think we actually want like a feature test to come back through for that. Which I think we can cover in here. So let's add in a checkbox item, feature test to create, feature test to edit, /update, and then we'll do feature test to destroy. Actually, let's leave destroy because destroy is hard because we probably just want to publish and unpublish the events for now. I'm doing good. How are you doing? It's Sunday morning. It potentially isn't Sunday morning wherever you are in the world, but I hope you're having a good Sunday. It could be very late Saturday, I think. No, 10 hours. Yeah. Feature test to create, feature test to update, and so what I'm hoping. So the reason I'm skipping, I'm trying to get myself. I'm just being lazy. Rather than writing a feature test just to say, hey, there are some events in the admin area. Can we see them? We'll just try and cover that when we add feature test to interact with those events. And by feature test, I sort of mean integration test. They kind of call different things. Integration test, system test, anything that runs the full stack is where we just want to have tests running, where we're just going to like check that the thing is on the screen that we expect to be there. So we're going to defer that. So admin can see list events. I think we're done with that. I think that's super basic. It is literally just render them out. So I think we're just going to say that's. Well, we can say it's in progress because we're waiting for those tests to pass, but we can merge that in a minute. So admin can administrate event and public can see event listing. These are the two I want to get to. And this one's definitely more fun because this one will be like an actual URL that people can see. This one I think is just CRUD stuff. Should we just swap these over? We got to do them both, but let's do this one because I don't think there's anything too complicated we're doing today. So we're gonna okay, just as I said that, this branch has gone green. As I said, I can't have expected to do anything else because we didn't add any tests that would fail. So I don't know why it would fail the tests, but we are super happy that this PR is now ready to go in. So let's merge it. Oh, you're in India. Oh, hello from a very cloudy UK to what I hope is a glorious day in India. Right, so we are going to merge this in. So we're happy that this is just a bunch of stuff. Let's say get checkout master. And we are going to get merge add view component, get push origin master, and we should see our PR purple. Be nice and merged. And I've set it up so that the branch will get deleted straight away. So that's all done. We're happy with that. This can go. And what we can then do is make a new branch and we'll call it public event pages. Let's do this. Let's start with some request specs. So this is pretty important. We're making an event application. The most important thing is that people can see the pages where the event is listed. And by people, I mean the public. And so this is likely to be like one of the hottest paths that you have. It's going to be the one that people are going to link to. So if you're an organizer and you want to run an event, you can post it on social media. It's where you send everyone to. It'll have a look at the information about your event. And it's where you going to begin that interaction with them to hopefully get them to register or buy a ticket or something like that. And I've put 50,000 typos in that one. Let's control this back. Cool. Programming, eh? That sums up the vibe of this stream every Sunday. So we are expecting people to be able to see the events page. So let's say that you're running an event, you're going to run like a I don't know, coffee morning or a fun run or a marathon or whatever it is. You want people to see it, and we haven't yet added any in control, access control things. There's no published or unpublished or anything like that. So at the moment, if an event exists, it can be seen. So what do we need? We need an event, which means we are gonna have FactoryBot create one for us. I don't actually know if we've made a factory for an event. We can find out. We have. It's gonna do all that fun stuff for us. I think this probably needs to make an organization as well. I'm not sure that's a valid factory at the moment. We'll find that out in a second. And then we are gonna say, what wording did we use for the receives a successful response? Let's off. This is for show, and we can have let show action, and this is going to be get show params. We're going to need organization slug, I think we called it. Just looking for the params somewhere else. Ah, yeah, okay. So we actually had to pass the path through. Okay, need to find out if we can do that differently, but it'll do for now. So let's still get, but it's the path. Organization slug. And I guess we're going to want to add slugs to events as well. Because let's do a quick key implementation with ID. But you're not going to want to share that publicly on social media and stuff. People are going to want to have they're going to want to have cool names, cool URLs for their events, fun run 2021 and stuff like that. Get twice. And I can already tell, like, having done this type of app before, you're going to get feedback that this URL is too long because it's the organization slug /events /name of event. But you can kind of, we could look to solve that later. We can have shortcuts and all that fun stuff. Okay, so event ID, we'll just do it with event ID. This would be show action. And we would expect it to come back. So we expect this to fail at the moment. So bundle exec spec, and then we want this path. So this should fail at the moment because we've got no code backing that up at all. Oh, and also it doesn't work. Yep, so that's our factory failing. So our factory for an event is, so I think you can just put the name of the association in FactoryBot and it'll figure it out. Oh, it's because I didn't add, actually that might not be the case. Let's, but I think it might be. Oh, maybe this factory is completely wrong. Have I just never used this before? Okay. Because the error I'm getting there is about the number of inputs to a date. Organization, yeah, okay. So then I want to do, let's put associations. Great, so that's the error we're expecting. So we can do a separate commit first where we fix our factory. That's fine. So now this is working. And the error we're getting is that we don't know what this is. Like, we don't know what path this is. So let's go and fix that test first. We want to have... So now we've added a route where we expect that to exist. No, we expect it to still be scoped in here. That's the wrong place. We still expect it to be within the organization slug. An event is not going to show... Yeah, I think we're all, at the moment, we're always going to have it within organization slug. Again, all of this is changeable stuff, but this sort of makes sense for now. Great, so now it's saying I don't know how to get to that file, which is good, because we haven't made one yet. And we want a controller, so we can do... Here we can grab one of the others. Application controller makes sense. And even though we don't need to, because it should be, but I think we can def show. I'm just going to jump ahead because I think I'm just going to see another error anyway. We can just add events and we can have a show. Show view. So I think we might get a green test this time. Maybe it's taking its time. Yeah, okay, great. So we've got everything we need there. Let's just commit where we're up to. Got a route, got a controller action, got a view, and we've got a test. Wait, what's this one? Oh, that didn't. Add initial route, controller, and view for. Amazing, to the point where that actually, if we go into the view, let's at least put the name of the event on there. We go into the view, and we are going to have to want to write some tests for all this stuff. So let's actually set the event. We're going to want to do set organization as well, aren't we? Which means we probably want to extract this out. Just going to not do that for now, but we probably want to extract that out into a concern or something. There are a bunch of places where we're going to want to always to know that we have the organization before trying to do anything. Do we need to do that? Because we would already have, actually in this instance, I don't think we need that yet. I think we are going to need that, but I actually don't think we need that yet. I think we only really need the event. Right, but we would need it scoped to that organization. But you could do that just from the slug, I guess. So before action set event. Could do event equals and we are looking for the ID being the ID of the page, and we're also looking for shit, no, because we then that's associated with it by an ID, isn't it? Whereas we've only got the slug, so you could do probably do need to do 2 lookups, but because the organization is so yeah, okay, let's oops. You could write a query, I suppose, that was go and get the organization by its slug and the event. You could do that all in one, but I just feel like we're going to use it so much. Plus, it gets you out here. Like here, you can start to do not found if this isn't found, so you skip the second query. Like, yeah, okay. There's a lot of stuff where things. There's no point in optimizing prematurely. Like you could probably cut this down to, let's say, 1 query, but at a small to medium scale, you're just not. You're getting more. I think you're getting more use than you probably are for optimizing early. And if you see a performance hit, you can sort of refactor this stuff later. I think this will work, right? Where you get. Or you could just do 2 wheres, I guess. So you could do where that. Where that. And you can. And the reason we're doing both is, and not just from that ID, is that gives you the nesting. You can't then have. Because I know using the ID. The ID would be unique, so 1, 2, 3. You couldn't have 2 events with 1, 2, 3. But when we switch it to use slugs, there might be one called like Fun Run 2021, but another organization might have Fun Run 2021 as well. And so it's this query that will prevent that from being a problem. And so again, we want to test to cover that. And when we put the slugs on the event, they will need to be scoped slugs rather than organizational. What you can also do is what like Trello and a few other things does, which is where they put a unique hash in front of the slug. So I think they have an ID and a hash and then a slug, and the slug is essentially then just useful for the reader, but the thing that is actually being retrieved is the hash at the start. Yeah, I think other people do that as well, but I think Trello's just the one I bump into. So here we should have event. I'm not sure if that'll work. I haven't really done that, but let's see here. We could then say, if we put an H1 on the screen, we could then say dot. I have no idea if that'll work, but let's go and find out. So here we have new name. It would be actually helpful to get the certain component. It should be handy to get the ID as well there. So let's do 1, and so this can then become. Oh, it's called event. No, it's called new name. Wait, what did I put? What did I put in the view? At event name. And I've got event. Oh, is that not an instance? Is that giving me the name of the class? Yeah, okay, right. That makes sense. Hang on. Sorry. I think here. I only want one. And again, this is fuzzy because that's a where it's an ID, so it should only be one, but it's only an ID temporarily. I'm hoping this is making some sense. Yeah, so here we have new name 1. That's the one for this event. And then we could go to 2. Oops, no, go back. And go to 2. Let's see, new event 2. And that's it. We have public facing URLs. Now we could start to do a bunch of stuff here. You could start to say, this does have the organization URL in it. Do we want that? Because it's going to make you a longer. So let's say this then becomes fun run 2021, for example. It's a longer URL than people don't really care about this as much these days because they're super long because of all the params and everything. But just for neatness, that could be like /funrun 2021 doesn't scope it particularly well. But what the thing I was talking about, what Trello do is they put like a random hash here. I don't know how many characters it is. And that's actually the ID. That's the lookup that's used. And everything after here is just for branding. And so I think they must just like do a split on the param or something and like give me everything before the first dash hyphen character. Do the lookup with that. Everything after that doesn't matter. So you can find the event with a half finished slug. Like that will get you the right one because all they care about is this part. I think we can skip all of that for now because you can add that on later. Like because you're then just the only thing you're actually changing is your lookup, as far as I'm aware. So, and then you can support multiple as well. But like how much you want to take on to support that is up to you. But like those are all options. Okay, so this is not what we want. So this works and is great to see. Like we now have public facing event pages, but we want slugs. Like that's really people are going to want to see like Fun Run 2021. Not only do we want slugs, so we've done this before in a recent stream. We did them for organizations. That's how we have. Go back to this actually working. That's how we have Sunday-Club in the URL. That's the slug for the organization, and that is handled in a lookup. And that is happening here. Set organization, and that is coming from organization_slug. So let's go and add this into our model. I can't think we had to add a migration for a column, and then I think the history stuff was taken care of, but I don't remember how we did scoped stuff. So I think we're using friendly ID gem, and what we're looking for is scoped slugs specifically. Scope slugs, that's what we want. And there's going to be a link to some docs in here, hopefully somewhere. Friendly ID guide, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, okay. Slugs, performing fine, slugged. Yep, we looked at all this really, really recently. Unique slugs by scope. The friendly ID scoped module allows friendly ID to generate unique slugs within a scope. This allows, for example, 2 restaurants in different cities to have the slug Joe's Diner. Extended friendly ID belongs to blah, blah, blah. Friendly ID name, use scoped, scope, city. So without scoped in this case, one of the restaurants would have the slug Joe's Diner and the other one would have Joe's Diner and then a huge hash after it, UUID after it. The value for the scope option can be the name of a belongs to relation or a column. Additionally, the scope option can be an array of scoped values. All supplied values will be used to determine scope. I think we only want, okay, so what was the migration we added to organization to get this working? I'm not going to bother committing what we've got because that's all pretty messy, so then we can just ignore that. Let's add slug to organizations. That's limited to 50. Did we limit the name of the organization to 50 characters as well? No. Okay. I wonder if we tested that. Or is that something you can do in... Let's go and look at that model actually. That seems weird. We're just, that could totally fail because it doesn't seem like we're limiting the name of an organization. But we are limiting the name of the slug, and so that could easily be an error. Okay. That doesn't seem great. I thought we did. I really remember limiting that. Oh, so we did that on events limit 75, but not on organizations. Maybe that's something we should go back and change. But that's not for now. Make a note of that one. Where's the other? Just gonna add that so that it doesn't get too lost. That seems important. Let's create a migration. So we are adding to events. Can't be null. Well, the name of the event has a limit of 75 characters, so I'm assuming this could be 75 as well. Yeah, that's so weird. I might actually go back and watch those streams for that because I swear I remember doing this. Okay. So the name of the event is 75. There's bound to be some weird limiting stuff with like weird characters and things like that, but let's just shove it at 75 and not worry too much. That's a long slug. So event slug string has to be present and it is 75 characters. And there's an index on it. And there's nothing in those original docs here we were reading that indicated that the scope needed anything. Different in the migration. I think we're good. So let's run this. We've got ones in there already. You can just go like it's just a dummy database. One of the lovely things about working on an app that isn't live yet is you don't have to worry at all about going back and worrying about old data. What we could have done there is not set the null false. We could have set the column up, gone back, backdated existing data. If it was in production and people were still adding rows, you would add the code that auto-populated when the row got created. So then you would check that they were all backfilled correctly and there was no point at which they were null. Then you could switch the null constraint on the column over. That's one way you could approach it. But it's just an example of how having an app in production means that everything takes a bajillion times longer than just like deleting all the events and just like overwriting it, which is way quicker. Okay, cool. So we are there. We've got some stuff we can commit real quick. So we've got a schema change and the migration that did it. We're not quite sure if that's correct, but let's add migration to let's put migration to add slugs to events. Great, because then we can go into the event model. So you can see how early we are, like in this application, like it doesn't do anything. Just like how these kind of models really get, just even readability wise, even if you start to extract this out into includes, there's already just so much going on with these kind of key domain models. Even when really well constructed, it's just tricky not to have a lot to take on when you look at them. Okay, so we are looking for extend friendly ID. Okay, yeah, oops. Extend friendly ID, and we are going to have friendly ID. Where did we put this in organization? We're going to have used. And we're going to do all of this. We're going to have logged, scoped, slugged, history. There was something about the order that history was in. I can't remember what it was. Scope. And the scope is going to be organization. Okay, so we can actually, we've got console open here. We can just jump into straight up trying that out straight away. So we can do event. Let's do org equals organization.first. That's Sunday Club. And then we can do event.new. We can do event equals event.new. No, we can't. Okay, that brings us our first problem. Missing a colon there. Great. So event.organization equals org. And then we can do event dot starts at time dot current. Then we can do ends at time dot current. Oh no, the time zone needs to be, can the time zone just be London, I think. Gotta get some like seeds and stuff. Time zone in London. It needs a name. Test. Slug. Generation name. And then we can do event.save with a bang. Oh, and it works. Great. So what is our event.slug? Test slug generation name. Amazing. Now, how many organizations do we have? Because we can quickly check whether our scope works. We have 2. Okay, great. So we can do org2 equals dot second, which is called some org. Okay, great. And then we can take event. And we can call event 2. I think you can do is dot dup. Okay, great. So event 2 dot organization equals org2. The name's going to be the same. So I think we can then just do event do 2.save. I added the wrong. Right. Okay. Amazing. So we spotted our first problem, which is that this one should have been pretty obvious, which is that the index we added in the migration implied that they would always be unique, which is not the case. So that is the last migration to run. This is not the case. So we need to keep it the same for now. We can drop out of here, roll this back. Change this. And then run the migration again. And now we've got to go back and clear the events again. Up to 5, event.delete all. And then we can give all of that another try. Oh my God, there was a lot going on there. Organization is org.first. And I did all these individually. Why did I do that? Event organization is event equals event.new. Event name. Event starts at. Event ends at. Where's the one with the time zone? Got London. There we go. So now I think we can do event.save. Bang. Oh, I thought I'd done that one. Organization. Oh, there we go. That one didn't work. So then event save. Okay, key, slug, sluggable type key, test slug generation event. When I destroyed the event, the slugs didn't get destroyed as well. We haven't really got onto destroying the events as to how we would actually want to do that, whether we would like soft delete and how we would then release the slugs and all that stuff. Oh, this is actually quite a lot going on here and what I thought was going to be fairly straightforward, but these are all good questions. So let's say we delete an event, or we allow a user to delete an event that's at test-slug-generation-name. If we want to do soft deletion, for example, we want to provide a customer service where they can reinstate the event or have like a trash can or recycling bin or whatever it is, do we release that slug back to the user to allow them to use it again? Do we actually do a hard deletion where the record is actually deleted from the database? I mean, with events applications, that one's always tricky because you've got things like when is it deletable? You've got the personally identifiable information for the ticket holders, so that would all be GDPR stuff you'd need to think about. In this case, I think we can just, I think we can maybe just go and write a test and assume that if the test passes, this all works. I think this is all just noise from our development environment, like these records still existing. Like I don't even know how we would delete these. What do these come? These like friendly ID plug. Okay, great. You can. Okay, so delete it all. So now can I do event.save? Yes. Okay. Then I could do event 2 is event.duplicate event. You could then do event 2 was, oh no, event 2 dot organization was organization dot second event 2 dot save, bang. Great, and it has the same slug. So maybe what is 2 some org. I do I've already forgotten what the actual slug is. I don't know if this will work because of the test slug generation name. I think it's already searching for ID, so I have to change the lookup. I'm sort of just not really sure why I'm bothering to do this. So this could now be slug programs ID. Yeah, cool. And so potentially we can then do this and do this and change out this for Sunday Club. Great. Okay, so what have we proved? We have 2 events with the same slug, test slug generation name, and we're getting 2 different events because they're scoped by the organization. So it is working. This one is the some-org, which is the second organization. This one is Sunday Club. And in Sunday Club, we should now only have test slug generation name as our only event. And that all works. And it's this lookup here that is checking that for us. So if we just did this, and this was find by, you would have multiple. And I think you would get back the first one. Yep, so you get back 7 on both, which is definitely not what you want. So we need this back in. Now we're going to want a bunch of, oh no, I want this back in, but I want it, okay. So we're going to want a bunch of tests around this because this is behavior that cannot break, because you don't ever want organization 1/events/slug to show the same thing as the other organization. So we're happy that the functionality works, and we're going to want to test it at we're going to want model test to check that the friendly ID stuff works. We're going to want a request spec to check that we get the correct event for the correct organization. And we're going to want a feature test, I would assume, that would check that if you type in the wrong org, you don't get you get a 404 basically. And what time is it? Let's do some tests. So that should get us the end of having public facing pages. Let's do some tests. And then what can we commit so far? So this here we can commit and do a whip update migration to make index not unique. That we don't need to keep. That's just so we could see the IDs. That was just handy. So get discarded. This is doing the lookups, so we do want that. That's adding the ID. We do want that, and this one is adding something to the view, so we can leave that for now. right, let's do the model tests. Let's do the model. And that bit smaller there. Great. Okay, so we have validations. I'm not really sure whether there should be slugs or something like that, but let's just put. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not a good place to start, but let's give it a try. So what are we actually doing? So when an event with the same slug exists, for the same organization. Don't know if this is the most readable way to do these. When an event with the same slug exists for the same organization, it should so at the moment, I think it will add a UUID, but I don't think we care why it's different. I think we just care that it does still save, but it updates the slug, and here we care that it saves with the same. Okay. I think this is making some. Maybe this is just actually testing the slug attribute rather than it's testing friendly ID. Because that is the actual name of the attribute that. Okay, so when an event with the same slug exists. So let's say, what do we want? We want to have an existing event, and that needs to exist in the database. I think. So we're going to have an event. And we're going to have, we need a slug for them both to try and have. And that slug is going to be example duplicate slug. And I don't know if this is going to work, but can we do slug and slug? So here, let's just, I don't know if that focus thing worked. Oh, we can just do one line, can't we? Here we can say, show us that this test is running, just output something, and let's say existing event. But then we also, what did I just do? No. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So we can view it, but we also just want to view its slug. No idea if that's going to work. Okay, so let's try and run this for line 59 and just see if we get any kind of output at all. And just a heads up, I'm going to try and round this stream up around 12ish because I'm going to the cinema. I want to go get some food first. Button exec aspect. And we only want to, what line did I just say? 89. 59. Okay, so when that's not explicitly setting. Can you explicitly set the slug? I guess not, because we're telling it friendly gem, because we're telling it to use the name. Core concept slug, setting up friendly ID, performing finds. Maybe I don't care. Maybe just set the name to be a thing that produces a common. Yeah, maybe I actually don't care. And maybe now we get the slug we expect. But this test will end up testing two things. It will end up testing that the slug is a hyphenated version of the name, and the other things. Rails friendly ID set slug on create. Just skimming to see if anyone else has sort of done quickie things like this. You can also provide friendly slug should generate new friendly ID to control exactly when to generate a new friendly ID. So presumably you can say if it's set, don't generate a new one, which I'm assuming the default doesn't do. Okay, we know this isn't ideal, but for time, I'm just going to keep cracking on. So we are then going to say for the same organization. So we're also going to have let organization be event.organization. And I think we're happy with that. So there we have organization. Then we want to do make the event I don't even know if we need a factory. I guess this just helps us build without having to set all the params everywhere. So then we could do event.save and then expect event.slug to not equal don't know if this is a good idea either. Just trying to go to pretty quick. Let's oh, cool. Broke that pretty strongly. Oh, is there already event? No, it's just subject. Oh, we should probably do that as well. Okay, so this is just doing a loop. 5861. Oh, so this is setting. So that creates event. Nope, same thing. Okay, so that creates an event. Oh, I see. That should be existing event organization. Wrong one. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure that I've written this. I'm going to do this to try and get it to pass, but then I think a good refactor would probably solve this. Okay, so you get example duplicate slug. And then this one you get example event name. And if we take this out, that one has to be name as well. That point out. Yeah, definitely not writing this test very well. There's two key things that are missing that need to be way more explicit. Right, okay, so it's example duplicate slug. So the fact that they have to share the same name is vital to the test, which is not ideal because it's not obvious to the person reading it that that's what the test is actually testing. And the way the organization is set is not ideal either. You could, okay. You're gonna have to do this either way, so you could just do this. I feel like this is one of those ones that you do. And then come back and refactor and improve like pretty easily the second time around when you're willing to spend some time on it. Okay. That can all go. But you could put to include, because I think it has to have it in it at the moment. So I know you don't want to necessarily do two assertions in one example spec, but like right, so that is now because this never gets checked, so that needs to be a bang. That's also a subtle. Yeah, I don't like this. I'm liking this test less and less. I mean, I think it's now doing what I think I want it to do, but there's three things you could miss. That bang needs to be there. Those two names need to be there. The organization is probably fairly obvious because it's mentioned here. And the fact that we're doing two assertions on the spec, don't like any of that. But I'm going to say we can refactor that at some point in the future. Difference between writing code for like quote unquote real code and writing code on the stream is that we just want to get this done. So here, for a different organization, we can now do that. Still, again, with the same name. It saves with the same slug. So here we do want this, this. We do want it to hold that. Not just 50. I don't think we can do all those now. Organization can't be blank. And that doesn't build the association. I think we can just do. I think there we can do another one. No, we probably don't want to do that with the same name because it might just. I think this could then just be create because all we're doing is having it. I think you could just do that. So I think this is the issue I was wrote the Trello card for earlier, which is where the name is. Oh, fuck, we've truncated the. We haven't truncated, but we've limited the slug value to 50 characters, but by default it sticks a UUID on the end, which is probably longer than that. Actually, I can't remember how many in that, but now it's going to be too long. Okay, so can we just do as if we just do that? Just try and sneak it under that. I actually don't know how many characters under it is. Oh no. This is not right. We're going to come back and fix this. We're not going to commit this as is. Oh, I'm assuming that's what's happening here, right? We're ending with value too long for type character varying 50, and the 50 is the slug. Must be. Okay, so maybe events. Oh, it's here. I see. That's 50. Slug there is 50. And here we put a limit. 75. Oh, okay. We have. I don't know if that's a different 50, I think. How many characters are in a UUID? Okay, what is the actual thing that's being generated there? $36. Shit. Wait, well, if I've still then got, I've only been putting, that's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be. Why are these failing? What happens if I just put one character in there, or like? They're all always over 50? And is it the sluggable type that's going over that? It can't be. All right, let's do. This is not where I thought this was going to go. I think we're going to have to wrap up and start to refactor this next week because this is really annoying. But I did say I had to end at 12. This is sort of interesting though. Like the scoped slug stuff is really important. So that all kind of works. So this one here. Got up at Brian. I can't. Okay, so here, if if we do this, but with build? Okay. So assign that to something. Then we do f.save. Organization can't be blank. Okay, so if we then do org. Oh, it's the it's creating the organization that's doing that. Value too long for type character varying. So it's in the organization that is failing. So is that this one? Or is that... I don't like the idea of a slug because it sounds slow. You mean the name, calling it a slug? I don't even know how what are they called slugs because of printing presses? Do they use slugs? Okay, I'm realizing that I've got to go in a couple of minutes and I've really screwed this one up. So it's on the creation of the organization factory. So I'm wondering if it is either this limit here that we're hitting or this limit here that we're hitting. I'm not quite sure why we have this limit here. Like why this migration came from the friendly ID gem, whereas these ones are just me randomly forgetting that they had UUIDs in the end. I don't think we will use UUIDs because they're crazy long and not very nice to look at. How do I actually find out from this which one that is? Do I actually have to... Can we do build? And then do org.save? You still don't get told which value is too long. Type carrying grade 50. If we then do org.name, short name. No, it's not that. Okay. I'm definitely missing something because we've done a bunch of these already as well. Okay. So if you look at what's happening now, right. So now if we do org.slug, this is now set org.slug.length 55. Okay, and it's because... Okay, so I think we can just take the stupid limit of 50 off of this or raise it up, or go back and change... Like, this doesn't need to be a UUID. In reality, like, we could just use a little hash on the end. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to defer all of that to next week. Or I am going to try and come back and do another stream before then. Like, I am really keen to actually get these public ones up and running. So we did the thing that we came here to do, which is get public-facing event screens up and running. I think the testing of this is super important, so I think it is worth spending some time on. But I think we're not a million miles away. Like, that's an annoying little limit that I've added and screwed up another test. Like, that just shouldn't. That was just a random thing. But I think this will test the right thing. I think this will say, like, we really, really care that the correct, I can undo a bunch of this stuff, that the correct record comes back. This could be refactored to be way more obvious. This is just a first run at this. So what do we want to do next stream? Let's jump in. Public, the event list. So we want to say feature test for public listing. We want to add, or like, finish model test for scoped slugs. Add request specs for scoped slugs. Probably enough of those just to get us up and running initially. I think they'll even take too long. I would carry on. We've got 90 minutes already. Yeah, I gotta go because I gotta go to the cinema. In that case, I'm gonna do a runner and head off. I will try and do another stream for next week. I thought about it this week, but just other things overtook. And I'm still working on that big active storage migration in any other spare time I grab. Don't know when that'll be finished, so yeah, maybe. But other than that, thank you to people that have subscribed or reached out this week. So another note, I have not done anything about this yet, but I've added a email list to the Sunday Club Twitter feed, and it is gonna be for people that can't be bothered to watch all these streams because they're like very specific target like topics about like just taking that step forward. What I thought would be good is to have like a little like digest, I guess, of like things that you might be interested in, like gems that we've looked at or anything like that. And Twitter provides this way now of giving you a free email thing. So people, if you follow on Twitter, or you can just put your email address in, whatever it is, and they'll go up maybe once a month. I mean, you can like and maybe it'll just be useful links to stuff in Rails that people are interested in. So I will try and write up about that and get some stuff for it in the next few weeks. And then people can subscribe if they fancy it, just to save people having to troll through, because I don't really write descriptions for the videos. So this will kind of be my way of being able to do that once a month or so. Other than that, have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you all, if not before, then at 10:30 a.m. next Sunday for Sunday Club. Have a great day.